Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Good evening and welcome back to Game 2 of this second game of the night matchup between University of British Columbia and McMaster University. Two teams from north of the border, both looking to make a name for themselves this season. UBC was the grand champion in 2015-16 and looked to defend the title against some new bloods who've taken down some big names like Waterloo and Ryerson. Last game, it was rough for them, Gorgon. What do they have to do to get back in this thing?
They need to situate their lanes much better. They need to...
All right, I lost you mid-sentence there, so I'm going to assume that you're putting together something really, really impressive.
Have you got me now?
I got you now.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, so they really just need to get themselves lanes that they can execute. Last game, they had to rotate their AM into an unfavorable position, which means they had to take their Sand King out of a favorable position to put them into a really nasty situation. Their mid laner, as you had mentioned, is not necessarily their strongest player, maybe a little bit newer. They need to get heroes that they can run in defensive or aggressive positions because they are facing opponents that are going to have a lot of flexibility how they decide to run things.
Absolutely. Now, we see the respect ban already out of the gate. The guys from McMaster, completely ban out Timbersaw right off the top. Number one ban. Not a typical first ban that you see in Dota lately, but after #Cold Hands performance, some could have accused him of being moon meandered. I mean, it was like he was channeling the spirit because he played out of his mind incredibly well. What was he? What did we say? It was 10?
17-0 and 6.
Yeah, 17-0 and 6.
Yeah.
Not that we were counting, but that's worth the ban. That said, it means they're leaving the IO on the table, who also played a really phenomenal group awareness game. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Ogre Magi picked up again here for the second time by McMasters. I think that's a good call. They played him well. They pair him with the Dazzle this time around, so a little bit more survivability.
Yeah, you ban the Lifestealer right now. If you're looking at that IO Slardar, right, and you just lost to this basic strategy before, take some of that away. Get rid of the Lifestealer. Maybe I don't have stats on UBC out in front of me, but I'm thinking maybe you also get rid of something that would be a great IO mid pair, so to try and reduce the potential that the IO does end up doubling down into your mid player. Maybe get rid of something like the Tiny.
So I want to correct myself. I said Ogre Magi was picked up again by McMasters. It was actually, I believe, on UBC's side last time around because they were so tanky. So McMaster maybe pulled a little bit out of the UBC playbook and is building a team that's a lot more survivable this time around. Because last time we saw they would get great initiations and then UBC would quite literally melt them. I mean, it looked like my son's ice cream cone after he starts playing with it. It just fell apart every single time.
Yeah, so I like the concept of getting more defensive heroes here to make sure that if things fall apart, they fall apart slower, right? Because if things are coming off of your car one piece at a time, you still have the potential to duct tape it together as you're going. But if the whole car just falls apart, the tires are flying off of it while you're going down the freeway, you're dead. That's pretty much what happened there, right? Like the tires dropped, the windshield cracked. Yeah, the transmission fell out of the bottom, the ejector seat went off, everything all at once.
Absolutely, and it definitely, you could see it happening, and I think even McMaster could see it. They tried to immediately rotate, take the Sand King to the bottom, push the animation to the top. So again, this wasn't, in my opinion, necessarily terrible play or a failure in completeness by the guys from McMaster. It was just a simple showing of UBC executing their strategy, knowing exactly what McMaster was going for, and crushing it early. So just beautiful execution. UBC's timing was very strong. Their IO rotations were unrivaled, and if they can do that again, then McMaster will struggle. However, McMaster has a totally different lineup. They've got a Dazzle Axe combo. They got a survivable Ogre Magi. They've got some reliable stun and slow. These are things that they didn't necessarily have the tankiness last time around. So I think that this could really work in their favor. It seems like they're a team that did better when they had a chance to sort of react, when instead of just having that initial moment to try and make something happen during a fight.
Yeah, this is, once again, it's about controlling their lanes. Things went wrong for them so early last game that it's impossible to tell if the draft was really to blame mid-game, or if it was just that things had gone so wrong so fast. A tankier, more defensive lineup is going to give them a little more leeway getting to the mid-game, and at that point in time, they can start to worry about actually executing.
So if the last game was about precision and position, this game is the opposite. So far, it feels like this game is going to be a brute force, a movable object versus, what's the old saying? What happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, right? Because these two teams look like they're going to want to fight. They all have picked up strong initiation, and they've all picked up a heck of a lot of melee damage.
Yeah, I suspect that we're going to see more aggression coming out here from UBC, University of British Columbia, just because it worked out so well for them last time. And as defensive as the Dazzle pick is, and the Ogre Magi pick is, presumably the Axe is going to want to cut creeps. Mm-hmm. And honestly, McMaster might even be thinking about running an aggressive tri-lane themselves with the Axe, Dazzle, and Ogre Magi. And the solution to that is to simply shut the heck out of that spend. And if you force that tri-lane with the Axe to rotate into a defensive tri-lane instead, you get much less out of it, right? You can't cut the creeps, you can't upset the equilibrium. That means you're not going to get the early tower that comes out of that. You're not really throwing anything into your opponent's plans. Okay,
Pudge.
a Pudge.
All right. Interesting.
There's that aggression.
So they say, we're going to bring you to fight us and then make you deal with the ramifications, whereas it looks like... What the fuck? Okay. That's a pocket. That's, I mean, if you got a meepo, play a meepo, right?
5 Dragonlance meepo incoming.
I mean, if you have a meepo at this level, it's not a bad thing. It's actually going to be pretty effective. The problem I have is if Pudge gets a good hook, meepo done. Well,
that's kind of a mixed bag, right? If Pudge gets a good hook, but Meepo's very good Meepo. He's going to poop everybody in.
That's true.
He's going to net the Pudge. He's going to interrupt dismember and just fucking annihilate that Pudge.
It's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Right, so
I think it's going to be a really fun showdown. I guess these guys, let's put it this way. Game 2, UBC versus McMaster. McMaster says, if we're going down in style. And UBC says, we want to show you some slick tricks. So both of these teams looking to prove something to all of us. I'm excited to see how it breaks down.
Yeah, by the way, take a look at the way that these lanes are shaping up. I mentioned that you probably see an aggressive tri-lane attempt come out of the Radiant side, but that our UBC likely going to aggressive tri-lane themselves, and they don't really have a configuration that makes for a very smooth solo offlane. Like the Slardar can do it, but he's not building for it. It doesn't look like he's not going for the Iron Talon. They're going to go for a level 1 Roche.
Level 1 Roche, so we'll keep an eye on that as we do some quick introductions of these two teams.
They're not going to get in before that smoke expires, so fortunately, Radiant isn't going to be there.
They're not going in that direction, so they should be okay. For the Radiant, we're going to have IV3 playing the Meepo, Apples to Pineapples on the Ogre Magi, I Don't Need Love on Sven, Plankton on the Dazzle, and Jendal Kenner on the Axe.
All right, and here for our Side Rice is our hooker on the Pudge. KCY is stomping in fury on the Ursa. Cold Hands is on the Slardar this time around. Queen is going to be on the Vengeful Spirit, and the Captain Co is reprising his role on the Io, and they have given up the ghost on this.
Yep, Io gets
They
it out
need to get out of
immediately.
here.
Smoke rotation. Ivy leading the charge. They wants to fight. Rice comes forward as defense. They're going to see him on the high ground. Plankton's a little bit low already. He's got to be careful. There's the stun. Goes in on the Venge. Plankton and Venge. Who'll get first blood? Plankton goes down. So it is going to be Dazzle that drops first from the Radiant. He went to the high ground for some reason and took a ton of tower damage. Now Radiant wants to turn back around. They know it's low. They're bobbing and juking. They want Cold Hands. Cold Hands says, nope, I will take the rune no matter what. The stun is there. What's going to happen? Jendal Kenner, no hope. He's got to run. Pineapple's going to be on the assist. He's got the stun from the high ground to try and slow Rice. He'll use it. Rice gets knocked backwards, but Jendal's still very low. Stun is now up on the Venge. He gets out of vision range. Will it last long enough? It won't. Jendal Kenner, another name in the annals of death as he drops down, making it 2 for the price of none. I thought for sure once Io dropped in the Roche pit, all bets were off, but Radiant just got too excited, and Dazzle just out of position.
So Dazzle wanted to get the Ursa, as all of them did, but the Sven couldn't get within range of the Stormhammer and opted to go for a different target instead. Had the Dazzle remained with his team, that probably would have been a first blood in the way of McMaster. Moreover, there probably would have been a response to the huge 4-man slithering crush that came out of Cold Hands.
Yeah, unfortunate. The guys from McMaster try to make something happen. Doesn't happen. UBC gets a nice jump on the ground. Going to be 2 to start. KCY and Co. in the middle are going to be a very difficult matchup for Sven to deal with here. 1 point in Stormhammer, the next in his Warcry. He'll try to harass Co. back. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Jendal Kenner going head-to-head with Cold Hands 1v1. And we do see a duo bottom lane. Now Rice will be our rotating Pudge, it looks like, as Kweet will stand here and try to get a little bit of farm. So, what do you think of this dual lane on the bottom?
Yeah, this is at least more. This is better for, our dire side team than the alternative of having that Pudge just purely roam, because it is forcing a tri-lane, a different tri-lane. As I mentioned, that's really the goal, is to keep that Dazzle specifically from coming up here with the Axe. If Dazzle comes up with the Axe and Axe is able to completely creep cut, shut down Cold Hands, and we've already seen how
Plankton gets sucked in, and he is in some deep trouble. High protein, lots of death as they chew down some Plankton. Rice are going to be on the run. He will go down in the exchange, so maybe a bit cocky. He thought maybe I can get the deny, maybe it's worth the trade, and it's 3-1, the first kill on the board for McMaster.
Yeah, that actually works out really well. And the Meepo takes the bulk of that farm, whereas a Vengeful Spirit grabs the bulk of the farm on the dire side. That's much more useful on the Meepo. And you make that trade 9 times out of 10.
All right, let's see where we're at right now, as KCY is now alone with Sven as they go head-to-head here. KCY doing pretty well, 9-2. Look at the top lane. They want to try to mess with Jendal. Jendal comes in, gets the call on Kendall. Kendall turns back, putting in some damage, but the spin is strong. Casey, Rice moving forward. A lot of damage on Ko. He's got to be careful here. Rice running the rot. Will it be enough? No one wants to punch Jendal, so he cannot spin. And it looks like he'll go down. They came back around. Cold Hands with the stomp, and they kill him without the right clicks.
Jendal played that actually really smart, right? He ran back up into the creeps, and he tried to tank the creeps as much as possible, forcing out those spins. He just did not get any pseudo-random love on that. Had he proc 2 spins, he would have gotten a kill on the Pudge there at least, if not also a kill on the Io. They didn't separate quite early enough, so really well played coming out of that axe. It just... sometimes you just don't get the spins, you know?
Pseudo-random love. Sounds like a romance novel written at a truck stop.
Sounds like a biography. Not going to say whose biography, just somebody's. Also note that this axe does not have an offlane ward up here for vision, so that he can't see when this Pudge is coming for him.
Would have been nice for him to know that in that last move. By the way, 4-1. UBC feeling pretty good about where they're at right now. Queen gonna head straight to the top. Jendal Kenner was doing okay. Now he's in 4th position on the farm, though Radiant's still looking pretty good. It seems like they just have a better handle on laning right now.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the Dire are in a pretty good position here. The Ursa is doing fine. Well, he might actually die, and that would change. No, there we go.
Nice link up. Ko gets there just in time. Rice wants the hook. They're going to move on Sven. Sven in some trouble. Will he get body blocked? He does. Rice trying to close it in. He is not even needed. KCY gets the kill.
KCY didn't want to give up the
hook is there. Rice gets the rot. There's the link to slow apples to pineapples. Turns around for the stun, but KCY wants to play. Cold Hands is here too. They brought in all 4 because they said, nom nom, give me the gold, baby.
Yeah, that's great experience gain as well. Yeah, like I said, I think you're absolutely happy with this if you're UBC, right? Granted, they're not quite to the same dominating lead that they had last time in that they've given up a kill. And yes, Meepo is getting farm, and that might be an issue a little bit later on. But for right now, their Ursa is going to scale much quicker than that.
We're going back to mid where they're diving Sven under tower. KCY with the stun, turns to go. No stun from Sven. Can they hurt him? They're trying to get low, but KCY is just going to walk away. Oh my goodness, the aggression from this mid lane is legendary. The TP comes in from apples to pineapples and the rotation from Meepo, but it's just too little, too late.
Yeah, I'm getting the vibe that this Meepo is not necessarily the most experienced Meepo. He's sending both Meepos walking to places together instead of having them go different places and blinking them when they're needed, right? So he could have a Meepo going to the mid lane up top.
Ooh, Jendal Kenner gets taken down. Rice with the hook. It says, today is not the day for you. And apples to pineapples, again, arrives to help just a couple of seconds too late, and it's not going to work out. Gold lead at almost 2,000 now for the Dire. XP about the save. Oh, the hook just barely misses, but that would have been the death of apples again.
Yeah. So Rice right now is 2-1-4 on this punch. He's been doing an extremely good job of applying pressure. They got their basic goal in that keeping Plankton out of that top lane as well, which really made life very difficult for this Axe, who had to end up going Iron Talon, Tranquil Boots, and is getting his actual engaging farm shut down. He's also he's a little behind in terms of levels. He's not quite level 6.
All right, so Cold Hands has a double damage, is really trying to make something happen out of this. Wants to go on Jendal Kenner. He's got some help from Plankton, so we do now see the Axe Dazzle combo for, what is the first time? Immediately has to TP to mid to try and save the Sven again. Sven turns back around, wants to make a play. TPs are coming in. The hook mistimed because of the Dazzle TPing into the trees. Otherwise, that would have been absolutely perfect. KCY turns back around, gets himself a nice little heal here, and is willing to just stay inside. Turns back and says, don't even think about it, Sven. These creeps are mine.
And all of the meanwhile, the Slardar is completely zoning out the Axe down here, getting everything that he wants. Up top, the Meepo's trying to farm and is finding his, but the Vengeful Spirit is getting lots of experience. So things are going really, really well here for
UBC. To clarify, the Meepo buddy system, as you brought up, a detriment, but I guess, not very effective. Not the way you don't see Meepo, but on the other hand, the gank potential coming out of the guys from UBC is so high right now that I think he doesn't feel confident having a Meepo off on his own.
Well, he could just have a Meepo, like, here, right? Yeah, I mean, he could just have a Meepo hanging out out of sight back there. Yeah, just so he has, A, somewhere to poof if something goes wrong, but B, he could get into these fights as they start to break out and throw out an Earthbind. An Earthbind on this Ursa earlier on would have been a kill, right? The Ursa's now 2-0-2. He was in the tower a couple of times.
Rice hiding in the trees. Looking to get a little bit of action out of here. He's been pretty solid on this Pudge, causing a lot of pressure, making everybody constantly worried. And that's really, I think, a lot of value in this early game Pudge, is the fact that everyone just has to play a lot more carefully, and UBC can do whatever they want, which they're doing right now. I mean, look at where Radiant is, desperately sharing farm in the jungle.
Yeah. They need to get some items up on this Sven, unfortunately. He is even below the Axe in terms of net worth. Was a weird decision to lane him where they did. He's not particularly good in the mid lane. In most cases, he does not have an escape. He doesn't zone very well. The area of effect for his cleave is quite nice, but you still have to get up to the creeps to use the cleave to harass. So.
Rice wants to kill Jendal Kenner. Jendal Kenner just wants to live his life down here on the bottom lane. Here comes Slardar, pushes forward, trying to tempt out Jendal. Rice with the hook. You know he wants it. Oh, he's aggroing for it. There's the bait. He goes in with the stun. Gentle Kenner's going to have to push backwards. Rice ready to play. Cold Hands suckers him forward. They got the call out. That's what they wanted. In they come, but apples to pineapples, and everyone else TP's in. Says no food for you. Cold Hands will go down, but a nice hook from the outside for Rice. Cold Hands still alive. Rice gets the pickoff on the Meepo. Cold Hands through the trees on the sprint. Turns back around. Gentle Kenner gets the stun. There's going to be the shallow grave to try and save some lives. Rice will get locked in place. This should be the end of him. Cold Hands staying nearby, however. This is a long fight. Rice, they finish Plankton. They do finally lose the Pudge, but Cold Hands has regen enough. There's the swap. Apples to pineapples. It's a 4-man wipe, and Cold Hands somehow lives through all of this.
That was
dumb.
But not just from Cold Hands, too. From Rice, like that was a pure outplay.
Wow.
That was there was a little communication there, but a lot of mechanical skill and decision making that went into that 2v4. Two great slithering crushes in there, some very fast tree cutting there as well from Cold Hands, and you're just not seeing the same level of. So to the degree that UBC is mechanically outplaying their opponents, McMaster needs to make up for that with better communication, and their team
Rice just mistimed the hook. They want to make the move forward. Stuns up on Quee, but here comes KCY and Whis hiding in the trees. Apples to pineapples. Feels his butt pucker as everyone comes pouring out of the woods. TP in the bottom. Gentle Kenner on the run. Rice on the chase. He's got the hook up if he wants to go for it. KCY thread the needle. Doesn't work. Doesn't matter. Stun is there. Kendall Jenner in some trouble, and he will end up going down. A nice pick. And these 4 amigos are absolutely unstoppable right now. Plankton TP'd in. All he can do is hide.
That ends up being about 500 gold, which the Sven almost made up for in creeps during that time. So, honestly, okay, it was 683. And the Axe didn't buy out before he died, so. Well, they're going to get the tower either way. That's not great, but at this point in time, those trades are kind of a drop in the bucket if you are McMaster.
You can't underestimate the value of demoralizing your opponent either, right? Like, making them feel like they can't even try to take an engagement because who's hiding nearby? Because what that was a beautiful bait, and then there were 3 guys hiding in the trees who just popped out and said, surprise! Now we got some nice vision going up with Punch.
McMaster probably should have known that was going on, right? Like, that was spelled out, and look at this, just by Plankton.
That's crazy. So, Plankton goes down with a nice relocate. Rice probably could have finished the job by himself, but they got the kill for KCY, and he will head back to his lane, happily farming away. Gold lead is already 7,500 for the Dire. 4,000 XP to the advantage. UBC in firm control, and you gotta wonder, can they come back from this? I mean, yes, they have a Meepo, but can he even try to braid at this point?
You know, honestly, part of the issue with the Meepo, too, is that each of the Meepos is taking resources like an entire hero would, which means that everybody else on the map gets less for your team. Meepo's a hero that plays well from ahead. He's not a hero that plays well from behind, just because of the damage that he does to the rest of your team's ability to actually make resources.
We're going to see an engagement here. They're moving on Sven with the full collapse. In comes the jump from Cold Hands. Quee with the follow-up stun. And I mean, UBC just made Sven completely disappear off the map. And they're going to now push in, take a tier 2, and their aggression is absolutely insane. They know that the mid-game is their bread and butter, but right now, at 7,500 gold lead and the items are starting to come out, their late game is going to be their bread and butter soon, too. Hook on pineapples. Rice with there's the link from Ko. They go ahead and get him burned down, and that's 2 inside the tower push. Maybe make it 3 as Cold Hands goes in for Plankton. Plankton gets stunned. Oh, the hook is there. It's a triple. God.
Yeah, what do you do if you're this Sven, right? Like, he had this terrible 2-on-1 lane in a lane he's not really the hero's not well equipped for in the first place, right? The Meepo is going to be taking all the resources on the map, which means he's not going to have access to those resources either. And now you've got an IO relocate Ursa just able to chew through you anywhere on the map. You've got no control over your own jungle because you lost that tower, because that lane went so poorly as well. I don't know how you catch back up with this Meepo in field. Maybe if there was another pick here instead of the Meepo, there would be some catch-up potential. It's very difficult to see it coming out with a Meepo there as well.
So Ivy does try to keep the farm going. He's got his Boots of Travels up and his Iron Talon. Let's look at items across the board. So that's about it as far as big items go for his entire team. Because as you said, he's about to get the Ags. It takes a lot of farm away from the rest of his crew. On the upside, 2 Blink Daggers, Aether Lens now on the Pudge. That's really going to hurt them. Based on the hook skill I've seen coming out of Rice already in this game, Aether Lens Pudge is terrifying if I am McMaster right now.
Do me a favor, just center on Pudge and zoom all the way out as far as you can zoom out, okay?
Okay.
2 of those screens is how far Pudge can initiate right now.
That's not true. Oh, because, no, he doesn't have a blink.
Oh, I thought you said he had a blink coming
No,
out.
there's 2 blinks out, but one is not his yet. That'll probably be his next item.
If he gets a blink, 2 screens out is his range of initiation. Right now, it's 1 screen out, but that's still one giant. As far as the game will let you zoom out, look at that. Look at that. I'm not sure if you caught that distance.
I did not, because right now we've watched. I saw the rescue from the Meepo. Now we're on the bottom, so Rice got a kill on the Dazzle, which was really nice. So Ivy thought he was going to get a pick off, ended up dying to a relocated KCY, and then the Ogre, who has historically been showing up about 4 seconds too late to rescue anybody, showed up about 4 seconds too late to save the Meepo and gave his life.
Okay,
Meepo, however, was able to thread away.
So that hook landed here.
Oh,
this is your distance right now.
Wow, they got Sven too. This is unraveling very quickly.
Yeah, like there's no being safe from that Pudge unless you're completely wrapped in creep.
Wow. Okay, so if you are McMaster and you're staring down the barrel of what has rapidly becoming not a gun but a all-out cannon, what do you do? Do you have an option? I mean, really?
This Meepo has to get. You have to hope that this Meepo is really mechanically skilled, and he's not doing poorly.
Right.
Well, let me rephrase that. Considering they're playing the league champions,
right,
he doesn't seem to be doing particularly poorly. Like, I'm not seeing any major misplays other than I would like to see a micro better, but like he's not no tail. You know what I mean? He's not playing at the same level that I think he needs to step it up in order to carry his team by a wide margin. He's really the only answer. The Sven's not going to be able to find any farm.
All right, so Rice is going to go ahead and grab an Illusioner for scouting, which makes him nice and strong right here. UBC playing an aggressive gank game. They'll go up top to defend against Plankton and IVVVV. And is UBC just waiting for a pick to roll forward and be unstoppable? I mean, what's their game plan right now?
I think they're just having fun.
I was going to say, I would have expected them to have grouped up and pushed down by now, but I think you're right.
They
it seems like
have.
they're just having a good time.
This Pudge just wants more kills, right? He's 6-2 and 10. He probably wants to get up an ag so he can 4-second hook and really demoralize these guys.
Apples to Pineapples doesn't know what kind of danger he's in right now.
Yeah. Fortunately, the Pudge doesn't know what kind of danger he's in right now either. Otherwise, he would already be dead.
All right, so in they come. Pudge still standing there, very close to having vision soon as he patiently waits for his chance for them. He wants them to go on KCY. That's what he's gunning for here. Meanwhile, on the bottom, it looks like General is going to run into Kui. Relocate, or Meepo jumping down to the bottom lane, comes after him. All of the nets miss, but the call doesn't. There's the taunt. They're going to get Venge. Meanwhile, up in the mid lane, Rice now has visions looking for a hook. KCY comes around from the back. The hook is there. He's got him. He's got a best case scenario hook and just rips Sven to shreds. Cold Hands blinks in from behind. The stun, the lockdown, the turnaround, but it's not enough. They get the double. So Avenge is picked off bottom lane, but at what cost as Rice's patience pays off?
I think we're going to be looking at a game, or we may be looking at a game, where we see how long a team can dominate in KD before their creeps inherently knock down towers. Because it doesn't seem like McMaster are the sort of team to just tap out, no matter how far behind they are. But it also doesn't seem like UBC are in any hurry to do any structural damage at all.
KCY could have cleared that creep wave and had this tower down by now. So they're having a great time. Plankton is now revealed. Look for the hook. Either lens hook. He's going to try to thread the needle here. Not
this
feeling the range.
By Plankton. Staying on the right side. Staying on the side of creeps because he has vision from the...
Right. So they will stay on that side. Now he's going to the high ground, though. He's going to walk into the juke.
Okay.
Accidental juke pays off dividends. Cold Hands now checking for the Roche. Not going to get it. Rolls into the jungle. Meanwhile, KCY finds himself some apples. Apple's going to run back to base. KCY a little worried about opponents coming out of nowhere. And not much to see. So it looks like you're right, UBC just looking to play the wait and kill game as they aggressively farm their opponent's jungle and make it impossible for them to do anything. Rice coming forward again, looking for these hooks. I mean,
honestly, this is Bass Hunter, right? He's waiting till he gets a bite, and it's just dead. There's not a lot. They should have an idea that Rice is hanging around, maybe by himself, maybe not. But the problem is they can't even engage on him if he's alone because the IO threat, unless they know Relocate is down or they can physically see that IO and Ursa aren't together, they can't even go as 5 onto this Pudge, even if they do find him, which they haven't been able to so far.
Now we'll look back to the mid lane where it looks like Ko, Kui, and Rice are all linked up together up on the top. Meepo going with that split push, so he will get a tower. Kudos to him on picking a tower off, I guess. Meanwhile, it looks like we might finally see a group up and go. Ursa really wants this Roche respawn, but failed to check that time around.
Yeah, but they're not going on the tower, right?
There's
They're
the
just
big
coming
move.
over
They
here
pull
for kills.
Sven in with the swap. Move in for the stun. Jump from cold hands. Everyone's here. Here comes KCY. That's one. Jendel Kenner dropping pretty low. Rice putting himself in a position to hook. Here it comes. Jendel Kenner goes boom. Gets melted down. Now the high ground stun. Meepo's got nowhere to go. Down, down, down. 4 go to death. KCY will take the tower. They'll move to the high ground without an issue as Apples to Pineapples simply tries to harass at them like a child kicking the shin of a giant.
So, something is to be said that the basic strategy that we laid out, which is McMaster needed to pick lanes that they could control. Obviously, they didn't control these lanes supremely well. Oh boy!
How do you even know? I didn't even know.
It's just you just learn patterns, right?
I guess. Man.
Yeah, they didn't control their lane supremely well, but they did much better this game. McMaster did than last game, at least to start. It's starting to get pretty out of control, but they only just now got to the same amount of deficit that they had almost 10 minutes ago in the prior game.
The swaps, the deaths. Oh man, KCY comes forward. There's the blink from Cold Hands just to harass, and they'll come back and finish off these racks. UBC sort of feels like they got tired of just hunting and now are ready to play.
Oh boy. Yeah, there is absolutely no control here.
Sven is back, makes a move on Venge. There's the hookup by Ko, and they will walk away. KCY not going anywhere though.
Force-staffed him.
Say,
Pudge force-staffed him. Okay.
They say let's Roche.
Like they need it, but okay.
You know, that's what he's been waiting for. KCY loves Roshing. It's kind of his thing.
He started the game with it, he's going to end the game with it.
Meanwhile, Ko gets to go ahead and bottle a regen rune for this, so he leads into it, started it, and ended with it. Like that. Well, he theoretically started. Ko doing a lot better in the Roche pit this time around. And they will go ahead and kill the Roche. Not much that they can do to stop this. The guys from McMaster know that it's happening, but they don't really have the necessary means to fight them. Gold Lead has crested almost 20,000 at the 22-minute mark, Gorgon, and the XP is over 13. This is quickly becoming as you know, I like to say it, a Sisyphusian task in terms of making a comeback here. I just don't know what they can do to win.
I mean, Dire are literally doubling up the net worth. Oh, just slightly not doubling up the net worth now of the Radiant. At 23 minutes, that's much scarier than at 15 minutes, because at 23 minutes, doubling up, that means you're an entire 2-tier X item, like 2 core items ahead on every hero.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do look at the items, Ags and Dragonlance, this is Dragonlance Meepo, by the way, as I said in the draft. Like, if you get here's a hint for any other teams that might be watching this. If you are getting stomped in a match, going into a straight OG troll build is not the way to try to win game 2.
But you gotta
it's
emulate
just
your
not
heroes,
the way to
man.
do it.
Speaking of which, I'd also recommend Bloodlust on an Ogre Magi at 23 minutes, but, you know, to each their own. All right, now we see a big rotation. They are going to see Cold Hands. There's the jump and the call. Can Cold Hands last long enough for his friends to arrive? He cannot. He gets melted down, but Rice is now going to hide out. He's waiting for his chance. Can't see anybody, though. There's the ping. He's got vision. He's going to go. There's the hook. Nailed it. Wow. He waited for the exact right moment to predict the movement. I like watching Rice play Pudge.
Yeah, he's good. I'm seeing from chat that he's about a 7K Pudge player, so that sounds about right.
Echoes of Jenkins.
Echoes of Jenkins also sounds like an autobiography. All right, so I mean, to the credit of Ivy, right? He's farming, like he's using this time the way he should. They're just so far behind that I can't imagine it mattering.
Right.
And look at where the Pudge is. He's just putting himself in a position to try and get a hook.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a. I was gonna make a. They're so far, they're farther behind than Half-Life 3 at this point. But you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because there's another pickoff. The Force Staff jump, the hooks. KCY looks threateningly, just runs in circles and blinks to avoid even the dot damage. And they'll go ahead and clear out a lane of racks, rotate without any harassment whatsoever. Dazzle going to be down for 20 seconds. Now Jendal makes a move. Nice hook away there to save a life. And in comes KCY. Works apples to pineapples. Gets the stun. Big swap by Kui. They get the kill on one. They move for Ivy. Ivy tries to poof in everyone. He actually poofs himself away to safety. And it'll be a double. Buyback from apples to pineapples. Wants to finish Rice. Rice pulls him in. Says, I'm not scared of you. And they go ahead and get 2 kills, force a buyback, and will now move towards the middle. Meepo, on the other hand, does manage to take a tower and is trying to work on racks, but UBC just doesn't care.
Yeah, we're seeing why UBC won last season and why every team should be looking at these guys' replays, looking at their drafts. If you are in this league and you want a realistic shot at a top 4, you need to know UBC and what they can do.
Gold lead at 25K for UBC right now. Venge going to get left behind, or will he, as IO comes in, swaps, and then jumps. Really nice play by UBC to get their men out. Or will they, as they keep juking around? Ivy comes in. Rice then pulls him out with the hook. And Kui getting moved around this map by others' volition constantly and really cleanly. And now the reinitiation looks like they want to go for that Sven. KCY leads forward, gets caught by the stun. Cohen Kui, cold hands from the back, wants to move in. Apples to pineapples. Dazzle is melted. Apples to pineapples will drop. They baited the double, and that'll allow them to push in and finish the game right now. There's a buyback from the Dazzle, and that should push them back to maybe take that top lane after the buyback, you think, or they just go for the gusto?
It doesn't matter. It does. I mean, they're going to, but they don't have to. That buyback is not scary. It's a Dazzle buyback, right? Like, you're 37-4, and you have mostly full health and a decent amount of mana. Where's the threat from the Dazzle buyback? They could just stand there and take the Ancient if they wanted to, but they're enjoying themselves, so.
Jeez, they are so far ahead, it's uncomfortable. Meepo hides in the trees. He's got his crew hiding out so that he can poof them in wherever he wants to. But it's just not safe for them to go farm, so he decides to keep them hidden. Let's see, item-wise, I'll check in even though I know it's going to really be frustrating to see. Ursa, Abyssal Blade Blink, the Armlet and Hyperstone on Slardar. Looks like he's about to finish up his Assault Cuirass. Even Kui's got some great farm right now with the Maelstrom, the Shadowblade, and the Dragon Lance, as we've seen putting in some really great work with that. Mech on the IO and Ags. What do you think? Is it pretty common to see a Force Staff over a Blink on a Pudge?
Yeah, for old school Pudge players it is, because in Dota 1 you couldn't buy a Blink on Pudge. It was a non-purchasable item like Basher on Slardar.
Interesting.
Yeah, for a long time that was the case. So, in fact, even in a lot of Dota 2, for a decent amount of Dota 2's history, Pudge was not allowed to buy Blink, because what happened in the engine was Pudge players would blink onto cliffs and then pull players onto cliffs, and they couldn't go anywhere, and it was an instant death. But now the engine has built into it this little bit of script that says if you get hooked and there's impassable terrain that you crossed over, then you're able to cross back over that impassable terrain for like 0.75 seconds or something like that. I don't know the exact amount of time. But since they scripted that in, they allowed Pudge Blink, but a lot of Pudge players are just guys that have been playing Pudge for like 10 years. You know, they're more comfortable with Force Staff because they've had Force Staff always available to them.
Right. Meepo goes to the top to try and get a little split push. He did take a full lane of racks, by the way. Rice going to play the defense game, and immediately he poofs to safety. I mean, I guess that's the rattiest way for them to do this, right? It's just to try to make it tough for UBC to push the last racks down.
Well, you just
Speaking
have
of
to.
engagement.
Well,
Yeah, death.
bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye, goodbye.
Jendal, nice
Wiedersehen.
AoE stun. Jendal Kenner's here. Doesn't have the call anymore, though. Cold Hand wants to play. He's got to back off to get a lot of damage. Meepo with the buyback, jumps in. Io will go down. They move on Quee. Quee getting low, but KCY wants to play. Turns back around, goes on Kindle Jenner. They're kiting him all over the place. BKB does not save him. He will go down. Meepo, the buyback, effective. And it looks like they're going to try to pile down the mid lane. Whoa, dodges the hook, but to what end? As he blinks into him, Io relocates away. Quee's got to run. No buyback on the Ursa or the Slardar. Quee getting low, swaps to try and buy some time. He'll go down as well as to try, and none of them with buyback. Now's the chance to take this tier 1.
Yeah, now it's more than a chance to take tier 1. The Meepo's got boots of travel. Are they off cooldown? They are. He could go bottom, and he will.
So he's going to go bottom.
That's
They're going to push
30
there.
seconds.
Rice tries for the hook kill, not going to happen. Kendall with the blink, goes for the call, not going to work, dodges the hook again. 4 staff away, they want to try to finish this tower, but they pulled all defense away from the bottom. Nice dodge again as Rice wants to hook hard. In comes Starter, here comes the TP in to help out. A lot of folks coming in, it's Meepo wants to go. This could be disastrous. Io in some trouble, drops low. Rice does finish the Ogre, but he's on the run. Kendall does have the call up in just a second. He will use it. Goat on the run away. They end up turning back around. They got the quad kill across the entire time span. Ursa KCY has returned, however, and they finished the wicked streak. That was a 26 or 2.6k swing off of that kill there. And I don't want to say that they're back in it, but that's a pretty massive throw. If you look at the gold chart, they went from almost 30,000 to 20,000. So they lost about 10k in the interim during that swing.
Lane. Not sure if you caught that top lane.
Yeah, no, he picked it up on the last big fight when they took the
Yeah. Like, this is... They didn't manage to grab the bottom lane there, which is really, I think, was the prize that Meepo wanted, but let no man say that there is a game that is we'll put it like that. To be fair, like, UBC should be able to just straight up walk into the base and win right now, but they don't seem to really want to. They want to continue to play it out. They want to continue to meme around, and if they're going to do that, there are going to be opportunities for them to fall down.
But he comes right back in just a second. Meanwhile, down here on the bottom lane, it looks like the guy's going to go ahead and get their farm on. A lot less hunting going on from the Dire side as we saw earlier in the match. And I think UBC maybe has had their cockiness curtailed for the time being. Gorgon, are you back with us?
I have been here the whole time. I'm not sure what the dropout was, but hopefully you can hear me.
I think that your microphone has decided that if you talk too long, it just cuts you out.
That's a good policy.
I like that your mic is on my side. Technology loves toffees. All right, so now we're going to see the guys pick up the Aegis. They do love that thing, and we'll be rotating back. So it feels very much so like UBC sort of had their eyes opened on that last big fight, and it sort of changed their style just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know that getting more timid is the answer for you. They're still severely ahead, right? They have Aegis, they have Cheese, they've got the Black King bars, and the Ursa's Black King bar still has 9 seconds on it. He's got an Abyssal, right? They have a lot of tools. Even look at the Vengeful Spirit, right? Scotty, Maelstrom, Shadowblade, Dragonlance. The Sven has Echo Saber, BKB, and Helm. The Venge is more farm than the Sven.
Yeah. But
they don't need to be timid. The more timid they are, the longer they make this take, the less their lead means.
Absolutely. Now, Jendal Kenner is in a tough situation. Doesn't have a lot of survivability right now outside the Vanguard and the Blade Mail, so he's got to play very, very careful. And it looks like they're taking your advice. They're going 5 deep with the Aegis. They're going to push down the top lane, and they're going to try to take it. In the meantime, IV3, however, has no interest in letting them do that. He wants to try and push and force a TP back to defend potentially, though it looks like the guys from UBC are going to get here first. So they go to the high ground. Vision from Quee. Cold Hands goes in. Ursa on standby for the initiation, and they'll let the creeps do some work. Meanwhile, however, Meepo going to lay into this tower. Tough decisions have to be made on both sides right now. Moves forward. Weave comes out. Tower will go down on one as well as the top. In comes the call from Jenner. He goes for it, misses all but one. Last shallow grave to try and make something happen here. Everyone comes in. Nice hook by the Pudge. That's 2 down. Meepo has returned. They make it 3. Buyback from the Axe. Buyback from the Sven. They need to win this one. Meanwhile, Meepo has taken the full set of racks up on top. Jenner jumps in. He immediately goes down. Big AoE stun. Ivy wants to poof so badly. KCY so close to death. Will it be enough? No, it won't. They do get 1 down, but he's coming back up with the Aegis. They lost the Meepo. The buybacks are burnt. The end is near. UBC gets the GG, and what we thought might have been the biggest throw in CSL history is saved at the end. However, kudos to the guys from McMaster for taking 2 sets of racks and making this game go a lot farther than we thought it would. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV. Gorgon, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, McMaster really showed why in these games that you're just getting slaughtered competitively, you just do what you should be doing, whether or not you can actually make it work. Because that Meepo just going out and farming, that Meepo just going out and pushing lanes, kind of ratty, which seems like a Sisyphean task, as you have been saying all day, ended up making this a much closer game than it had any business being.
Kept me awake. Lots of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. A big shout out to the C Star League. Go follow them at C Star League on Twitter for updates on what we're doing, as well as other games that we cover. I know Vainglory, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, among many others being covered this season. A big shout out to the guys from UBC for playing very well tonight. And finally, to our sponsors who made this possible, Band Gaming. It's a social app, and the primary social app of the CSL, I should say, with a lot of features like creating groups, boards, calendar functions, polls, chats, and now call functionality. It's a premier social experience for you and fellow gamers alike. You can join us and the CSL community at band.us/@CStarLeague. And talk to admins or hang out with us as we sort of check out Band for ourselves. Big shout out to Twitch as well, from PAX East and West and many more. We could not do what we do without the support of Twitch, so a big thank you to them. You guys have a wonderful evening. You can find me at Toffees TV. You can find this man at The Wonder Cow. Have a wonderful night, and as always, Toffees out.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Well, if you're still here, this is Toffees, and I wish you a wonderful evening. We won't be here Thursday as it is Thanksgiving. We took the week off, but Gorgon and I will be back on Tuesday with more Dota action. And I leave you with this final song, and I hope that it reigns true as you lay your heads down for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, sleep easy.